Operations are concerned, several Israeli strikes that have also been reported hitting southern suburbs of Beirut overnight. Let's get in a word from Pradeep Datta, who's joining us right now. Pradeep, good morning. Apart from Iranian missile attack, Israel has continued with its counter-attacks, be it fight against Hamas, be it against its fight against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon.
Yes, Amita, you are absolutely right. Undeterred by Iranian airstrike, Israel is continuing to target Hezbollah bases in southern suburbs of Lebanon, and they're also targeting some of the areas in Gaza also. And already they have said that they have lost 8 of their soldiers while fighting with the Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon area, because they are trying to dismantle their infrastructure. They are saying that there are several areas where from Hezbollah is operating, and Hezbollah is posing threat to their country, because Hezbollah had a big plan. They were planning to target the way Hamas did on October 7 last year. So they wanted to target them. They wanted to target their civilians. So it is in the rights of Israel to ensure that nobody is going to target their civilians. As a government, they have to ensure their safety and security. And for safety, security and integrity of the country, they can go to any extent. For that, they can target any of the proxies of Iran, and they can even hit Iran. So all eyes will be on Israel when they are going to retaliate and avenge the recent airstrike by Iran. Because all these years, all these months, we have seen that Iran had been trying to target Israel through its proxies, whether it was Houthis in Yemen, whether it was Hezbollah in Lebanon, whether it was Hamas in Gaza. But for the first time, we have seen that there has been a direct confrontation between Iran and Israel. The day before yesterday, we saw that they fired about 181 projectiles. Some of them had landed at the air bases. Those Israel is claiming that it has not been able to inflict any kind of a loss. But yes, some injuries had been reported in the West Bank. But most of those missiles, hypersonic ballistic missiles, were intercepted, detected, and they're destroyed by the air-dome system, because air-dome system is one of the best aerial defense systems that is preventing...
Of course, it's been relying when it comes to the Iron Dome system as far as what Israel has been doing for its citizens, its civilians there. But we saw the direct warning that came in from the Iranian president's side, saying that it is fragile as glass. World leaders, meanwhile, have also been reacting. Pradeep Datta, who continues to stay with us, Srinjoy Chaudhary is joining us here in the studios this morning. We talk about how the world leaders have been reacting right after going into a huddle as this conflict widened, with the US President Joe Biden joining a call with the G7 leaders to discuss Iran's attack against Israel and also to coordinate a response to this attack, including when it comes to fresh sanctions. Now, according to the White House statement, President Biden and the G7 leaders unequivocally condemned Iran's attack against Israel, where President Biden expressed the United States' full solidarity and support to Israel and its people and reaffirmed United States' commitment also to Israel's security. The US, which is also putting pressure on Iran's proxies by imposing sanctions on them, with the United States imposing sanctions on 1 individual and 3 companies that facilitate weapons procurement and smuggling operations for the Houthis. Now, the US State Department said that this action targets key procurement operatives and suppliers located in Iran and in China that have enabled the Houthis to acquire materials and components needed to deploy advanced missiles. Let's get in a word from Srinjoy now. Srinjoy, good morning. The developments that has been happening as far as the conflict gets wider, repercussions that we talk about, of course, militarily and operations that have been going on, what happens economically?
Well, economic sanctions may or may not work. Let's be absolutely honest about it. You see how the West tried to impose economic sanctions on Russia. Have they succeeded? Very probably they have only been partly successful. That has to be kept in mind. It's important to realize that economic sanctions in this kind of world will not be airtight. That's one thing that has to be kept in mind. Yes, they'll be partly successful, but overall, if you've seen how the West tried to stop Russia's oil exports, it hasn't really succeeded to a very great extent. China buys huge amounts of Russian oil, and no one has been able to stop it. In fact, there are even today, there are some Western countries who are buying Russian gas. So as a result, economic sanctions, while they have very good intent, may not necessarily be 100% successful.
Well, with these developments that have been taking place, Srinjoy, we also would want to talk about how not just the United States, but it is trying to garner more support and asking countries to actually pick a side. Will that kind of a pressure be also built on India?
India, I doubt that very much, because at where India is at that moment. Well, India is a country almost every major world power really wants to be friends with. So at this point, India will not be told, are you with us or are you not with us? To be very honest, India is far above that. India is not a country which can be told by any country in the world, are you with us or are you against us? India also has made one point very clear. India has made it clear that India can be a way as far as communication between the fighting countries are concerned. India has a long civilizational relationship with the Iranians. India has a very strong strategic ties with Israel. So as a result, if, as Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister himself has said, that if there is, he used the word communication, and if messages have to go back and forth, India is there. Now, whether this is the right time for that is something that the countries that are involved in the conflict will decide. But India is there. India will be there if there is any talk of bringing peace to that very difficult region just now.
Right. And we have seen how the world leaders mainly has been calling for restraint. However, if there is a threat that looms large as it blows into a full-blown conflict or when it comes to the escalation that has been taking place of a possibility of a war, let's in the meantime take a look when it comes to the positioning of the countries here is concerned. The map that we put out of the world on what many of the leaders have been saying and their positions as their countries now also seek to be. Let's put that out. The countries which seem to be backing Israel. And here we are looking at, of course, it is the United States of America, the United Kingdom, France, Japan, Germany, Australia. We've seen their leaders also coming out and unequivocally condemning Iran's actions on Israel. We also talk about the countries that are now backing Iran. Turkey, Russia, Lebanon, Gaza, China, Yemen, all of these countries there. But more importantly, in yellow, as we are looking at the country which has a neutral stand and an important one and a responsible one, which is India. India has always been the one that had projected when it comes to peace, saying that war is not an option. And this time around, of course, it will have global repercussions. But India is the country that calls for peace and calling upon when it comes to the world leaders to also unite in its stance.
At my direction, the United States military actively supported the defense of Israel, and we're still assessing the impact. But based on what we know now, the attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective. And this is testament to Israeli military capability and the U.S. military. It's also a testament to intensive planning between the United States and Israel to anticipate and defend against the brazen attack we expected. Make no mistake, the United States is fully supportive of Israel.
But